Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage. Hope everybody's been having a good week so far. We've gotten a lot of work done here lately in the garage, and one of those big projects is the 4-link on our Cummins, which we're working on again tonight. So if you guys remember the last episode of 4-linking your Cummins, or whatever we want to call it, we got the axle brackets all welded and dialed in. They're sitting straight up and down. The axle is sitting where it's supposed to, and we had some decisions to make about it. Well, as you can see, I've made a decision, and we're going to go with a 4-link / ladder bar setup. So I have our old ladder bars there. Obviously, I'm joking. I just put those in for mock-up purposes because I wanted to look at our ground clearance. So when we had the truck on the mobile dyno that one time a couple years ago, when we put down 1,002 horsepower with the stock bottom end. Anyway, when we put it on the dyno, we were very close to hitting our ladder bars on part of the ramp. And it always kind of worried me about how high the ladder bar was, different trailers. I think we were loading it on another trailer at one point, I think a deck over trailer, and it was like, we just barely scraped by with that. So when we were looking at our 4-link setup, I was trying to figure out where I wanted it. So the Fire Punk guys recommend having the bottom of this bracket even with the bottom of the axle bracket. That gives you the most adjustability with all of your holes. I got looking at it, and that was basically taking out this 2x4 and I think one of these. Basically, it was 2 inches lower than where it is now. And I just didn't like it because we ended up with 6 inches or 6.5 inches of ground clearance. And it just, to me, it was too low for like our trailer setup and, just what we're going to do with it. I don't want to have it be a pain to load. I did consult some people who I know with 4-links or have seen with 4-links, and they kind of said, yeah, it can be a pain to load the truck, and they thought theirs may be a little low, whatever. So I decided, you know what, we're doing this. Let's do it how I think I want to do it, and then if we need to go back so we have more adjustment, we'll lower it down. We'll see where things are. Like, we don't know if we can load this thing on our trailer with this down at 6 inches. I'm not sure, and honestly, I don't want to go through all this and it just be a complete pain every time I want to get it on a trailer. So what I did was I actually got it here. We're at about an 8.5 inch level from the floor, and also our tires, I actually did the calculations or looked it up online. Our tire size now compared to our radials is actually 1 inch difference. These are 1 inch bigger or taller, so that means that a 1/2 inch, this would actually be sitting a 1/2 inch lower with the radials on. So that would give us 6 inches of clearance or 5.5, whatever, wherever we were at. So what I did was I actually bumped this thing up to 8.5 inches. And what that did, if we look at our angle finder, and of course the heater's kicking on, we are at 0 degrees on this bar here, which I think is perfect. Most of the setups you look at, the bottom bar is usually straight, but that puts us in the 3rd hole up on the bottom out of 4. So we may lose quite a bit of adjustability, I'm not sure. Yes, we can always cut it off, but at least if we're sitting up higher, we have a better chance of being able to load the truck and get it on stuff like that. So this is possibly a mistake. I don't know. I'm kind of erring toward the side of caution as far as being able to get the truck on the trailer and stuff like that. Only time will tell whether this is a good move, a bad move, or what. Or a neutral move. I don't think really that's a thing, but or if it doesn't really matter for our setup. We have no idea what our weight bias is. We have no idea what the truck even weighs right now. So we're kind of shooting in the dark. We're going to try and play it safe as far as the stuff we do here at the house by ourselves. And when it comes to dialing the truck in at the track, if this isn't going to work, we'll have to cut some stuff out and reset it. Not a big deal, just more work for us. So I hope you guys get that, but we're gonna get to fabbing some more on our 4-link setup. So what we need to do is actually get this bracket and the other bracket even. I need to figure out how long I want to make my my 4-link bars when we initially set this thing up, so that way we have plenty of adjustment. We're not running out of thread on our hind joints and all that. So we'll get that all set up. We'll get our old back window bar, and we'll use that for our new 4-link sidebar or crossbar, and we'll get some fabrication done. So that's where we're at. Sorry for a lot of talking. I just wanted to kind of explain my point. It might not be right, but like I said, at least this way we have a better shot of being able to load the truck and it not being a complete pain in the butt. So guys, we got the driver's side tacked in. The piece of 5/8" tube is actually welded all the way around. Well, at least all the way around one side on both plates. And then it's just tacked to the frame. Now I left it long because I'm thinking about possibly doing a gusset here. So I left it long, and then we'll cut it down later when we figure out what that looks like. Got that all tacked in. I got the bars locked in. So what I'll do is I'll actually remove those bars since they're locked in. I'll take the other ones off and we'll put them over here. You know, run them in and get them all locked down, but then we'll have a set of bars to take over to the other side. And then when we do the passenger side, they'll already be locked in, so everything should be where it is. So it'll just be a matter of getting everything squared up, you know, level, plumb, all that, and right with the axle. And then we'll be ready to tack that all in too. And then we'll do our bar at the bottom last. This is kind of a different way of doing it, I think. Different than I've seen done, but it's working for me without having like a, you know, nice metal table or something to work off of. But it's really working for what I want to do. Also, I did have to cut this top bolt down. I had to cut a 1/2 inch off the bolt because, well, as you can see by raising that bracket up, we're into the frame. So I wasn't able to line everything up with the bolt in fully. I was hitting this, so it was just barely hitting, but I took a half inch off, but I might end up taking about a 1/2 inch off of all of them eventually, just because there's no need to have that big long bolt like that when we have all this extra thread, you know, we can get rid of. So anyway, we'll hop over, do the passenger side, get our bars transferred over, and get that done. I don't know if we'll get the bottom bar tacked in tonight, but we're making progress, and yeah, definitely looks pretty good. And I'm glad we moved that bar up, because as you guys can see, and I just put the bars at the top and bottom holes to keep the spacing of the plates, but as you can see, it's still pretty low. But when we move that back bar up 2 holes, it'll be nice and level. So like I said, we might have lost some adjustment, but I think it's worth it for the extra clearance. Well, our 4-link is all tacked up. Now it took me a while because I was just trying to make sure everything was square, level, plumb, all that. I mean, just non-stop checking back and forth to make sure the axle was in the right place, checking our center lines, all that kind of stuff. But needless to say, it took some time, but I'm very happy with the result. We have our 4-link, our forward 4-link brackets are welded fully to our tubes on the sides, on both sides, and then our tubes are just tacked in. I wanted to just tack them, make sure everything was good. Once I had the tube welded and square to the bracket, my thinking is, you know, I could go back and then, you know, get it on there without much difficulty, which is what happened. But, you know, we have the tacks on there, so if I found something was out of sorts, I could still cut that off and, you know, go back, and it wouldn't be as much work. Anyway, got that tacked in, and then while I was at it, I got our little crossbar underneath tacked in. Now, if you note, I did throw our drive shaft in real quick and just C-clamped it because I got looking at it, I'm like, oh crap, I never even thought about the drive shaft. You know, normally they put these in the trucks and, you know, they have the bracket lower, like I said, even with the bracket in the rear. And I was like, well, anyway, we lucked out. We got clearance to our drive shaft. We're looking good there. So like I said, everything's tacked up. These are fully welded. Our bars are just in the top and bottom holes just to, you know, kind of keep the thing square. That's definitely not where they're going to go. To figure out where the 4-link's going to need to go, we're going to have to do some research. I've been reading up on it and all that, but we also should know like the weight bias of the vehicle and all that, and then also the same thing when we get our coilovers. We're going to need to know all that information so we get the right stuff, the right valving and all that. But very happy with it. It looks great. I mean, yeah, we got a tube just hanging out here ready to impale me, but what I did was I just cut that end straight and left it hang over like an inch so we can get a good weld on it, and then we'll cut it down later. Maybe we'll cap it. We probably will cap it, but the same thing as here. You know, we're gonna probably add a brace in here somewhere. I haven't figured that all out exactly. Honestly, we are about out of 1 5/8 tube, because if you guys remember, this bar was actually that bar that was coming out of our rear window, so we were able to reuse it. But to do any of our bracing, we're going to need more bars. So that part's done. The bracing can come later. Once we get all this welded in, everything will be square. It'll be where it needs to be and all that. We still need to do our panhard bar, I think it is, which is what locates the axle from side to side, because, you know, there's some play in our Heim joints, because they're just here to kind of keep the axle. They're there to keep the axle in the frame. I don't really know the right way to say it right now. It is late, it's a school night, but the 4-link bars are just kind of to place the axle, to steer the axle and all that. The panhard bar will keep it from, you know, trying to walk one way or the other, or back and forth for that matter, and that'll just kind of control the location of the axle. So anyway, guys, like I said, we got a lot of progress. Maybe it seems slow, I don't know, but I just was trying to verify everything, you know, try and do the whole measure twice, cut once, but we measured a whole bunch of times and levels, and I had the square out and all that, because that was another thing. If you guys remember, I used the carpenter's square here, but as you can see here, it accepts this part of the frame, so it's thicker. I actually took my dial veneers and measured. This is a 1/4 inch thicker, so it's an 1/8 inch thicker over there. So I had a little spacer and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, our 4-link is coming together. I'm happy with our progress. It's taking a lot of work, a lot of thinking, but I'm very happy with it, and I'm learning a lot. I mean, this is just like our cage. It took us a long time, but we learned a lot of stuff. So anyway, guys, I hope you like the progress. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like the video, you know, hit that little thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. Catch you guys on the next one. Get in your garage, get the wrenching on your truck.